What started as an appeal is now an emphasis for mission and ministry. I just want to quickly review where we are at this point, because we've made some awesome things together. Just a quick review of where we are. Many of you have donated and pledged significant amounts of money over the next 3 years. Some of you have given up front. Thank you. 203,000 or so is where we're at with the pledges. The donations have us up around to date up around $97,000. That's a significant amount of money. That's a significant kick in. All right, that's awesome. Thank you. Now, we did have to make a couple of little adjustments, but we adjusted a little bit. We didn't know exactly what we were going to be able to do for the roof, but the roof portion that we had planned to do, the penthouse over Fellowship Hall, that's done. You knew that, right? It's done. It's paid for. Okay, it's done. It's paid for. Whoa. Yeah. You did that. Now, not all of you, kicked into Rejoice Renew Reach. I know that. But some of you have been given to the roof for decades, so you did that. You did that. Now, we had some other plans for some other projects, and those had to get modified a little bit. We'll talk about that in a second. The organ, though, there's been funds set aside for the first portion, the organ refurbishment piece. The guys have been contacted, the organ masters, the organ put together fix-it masters. That's not what you call them, but anyway, talk to Brad if you want more details about what's happening with that. But the first phase of the organ project the money has been set aside. It's sequestered. It's ready to go. There's a group that's going to be coming here later this fall, early winter. They're going to do the work on the organ. It's already sounding better because they've been here. Part of that is already happening. You did that. Thank you. Yes. You were going to clap. Do it. Yes. Jesus is in the boat. All right? It's getting done. It's getting done. Now, I talked about some adjustments that we were going to do some flooring things, particularly in the fellowship hall. If you walk in there, and you walk through the building, do it sometime when there's not a lot of people. Look down as you go. And there's seams, and there's holes, and there's stains, and the fellowship hall especially, it needs some work, but we set that aside. It's been pulled out of the Rejoice, Renew, Reach mission emphasis. We'll figure out some other way to deal with that. The lighting, talked about that when we first gathered here. You notice that it's a lot brighter in here. It's not just that your cataract surgery is finally kicking in. All right? Every bulb has been replaced in the sanctuary. Now, we didn't come out of Rejoice, Renew, Reach. We did the sanctuary bulb thing instead. And a lot of you that weren't very interested in Rejoice, Renew, Reach have been kicking in money to make sure that this place gets a brighter look. And Brad has been using the long, skinny pole with a suction cup on the end and hasn't dropped too many. What is that glass splinter now? But so we're about $200 short on that. It's not a part of Rejoice, Renew, Reach. You all decided, well, we're just going to do that. We were thinking we'd put in some dimmers and some spotlights, and it was $30,000. We were looking at a possibility for the lighting project, and that we were going to do some things in the hallways with that too. Well, what we've done is scaled that back, LEDs wherever we possibly can, and the total on that was $2,500. And you've done that. It's finished. It's done. $200 and we're there. Yeah. And that's not even Rejoice, Renew, Reach. That's like over and above. So some people are starting, well, what if we did that for like sections of flooring in the fellowship hall? Because it seems like it's really easy for us to do stuff like that, buy a tile, buy a yard of carpet. I think in 3 months we'd be done. And it would be beyond Rejoice, Renew, Reach. Thinking about that. That might happen. That might happen. So, yeah, Lighting Project dropped from Rejoice, Renew, Reach. It's rebranded. It's all. The other huge piece for Rejoice, Renew, Reach was working on our staff. We've gotten way too comfortable with only having one pastor here. And it has crippled us as a congregation. It has crippled what we've been able to do as a mission and a ministry here. 1.25 pastors with me and Pastor Karen, it's just not enough. There's big gaps in what hasn't been getting done around here because we've gotten comfortable. Oh, we're just a one-pastor place. We're small and getting smaller. No, we're not small. There's 900 people that call this church their home. 900. I can't do it all. Pastor Karen on 10 hours a week can't do everything we're asking her to do. The youth director piece was overwhelming. In small groups, it was a challenge every time we got together. We knew we needed more help. So how are we going to do that with the less funding? Well, the staff discernment team has been meeting. It was appointed by the Parish Planning Council, a group of 9 of your fellow members, and a bunch of others who kept coming from time to time. There was this open invitation for anybody to be a part of that if they wanted to. We publicized every meeting when that was going to happen. Several folks showed up every time we met. 6 times we met. And we come up with a proposal to meet the staffing needs identified by the Rejoice, Renew, Reach mission appeal. Julie Beal, Lauren Herbert, Brian Kazmierczak, Rich Krikova, Julie Latner, Bill Schlengvold, Sherry Waller, Thera Wiersma, and myself were convened by Bruce Larson to figure this out with the funds that were going to be available, both in the budget, because with Christina leaving and going off towards internship, there were freed up some funds, and there's some other places, and there's some other, and Rejoice, Renew, Reach is in there. What are we going to do? Our task was enriched by that resignation of Christina Cattleback. So we had all of that going on. The group began by identifying together our mission, to know Christ and to have others know him. What was our mission? We started with that, and there was 9 other points of mission that we wanted to make sure we held up and that were a part in the back or in the back of our brains and in front of our eyes and right at the bottom of our hearts every time we thought about how we're going to do this. How are we going to serve our community? How are we going to serve our congregation? How are we going to serve the individuals in the congregation? How are we going to serve Jesus? How are we going to make sure Jesus is known out in this room and beyond? Next, we spent some good quality time going, here's some needs. And it went way beyond the stuff that we originally painted out for Rejoice, Renew, Reach. There's a whole list of things that people were aware of, the needs of the congregation. Amazing thoughts and dreams for mission and ministry that we might be able to do together if we had the right kind of leadership in place. Huge lists, pages and pages of those big white sheets that you tear off and stick on the wall. They're in my they were in my office. Anyway, they're still around if you want to look at those. So then we started thinking about, well, how are we going to do that? Who best? What kind of a position? What kind of a person or persons or team or robot can we get that might possibly do this? A second full-time pastor? Oh, there's a dream. Got to tell you, the money wasn't there for that. All right? One of the things that happened with it going from $440,000 down to $207,000 is it practically is impossible for us to think about a second full-time pastor. Okay, so what are we going to do instead? Share with Zion? You know, they're in the process of calling another pastor. They're on the cusp of having a call committee together. Their transition team has been thinking about and dreaming about how ministry at Zion might work and how we might do ministry together. And, maybe we could share some staff, and maybe we should share a youth director. And maybe how would that work? And we thought about that. And their transition team came up with their plan over there. They're going to call a full-time pastor, and they are looking to hire a full-time youth director of some sort. Thank you. Over at Zion. So sharing, it's not going to work. Well, we are going to be doing youth ministry together with them. We've been doing that for 3-4 years already with our various youth directors, so that's probably still going to happen. But sharing a staff person, that's probably not going to work. So what about, there's this thing called deacons, rostered deacons in the ELCA. Now, they used to be called associates in ministry and a couple other things. They were lay people who were trained and had some experience, and maybe that would work. We thought about that as a possibility. There's not a lot of those out there, even fewer of those than pastors. Well, maybe a part-time pastor of some kind. Maybe let's figure out some new way to work the youth ministry into this. The whole team, folks who gathered with the mission and the needs right in front of us the whole time, and vigorous and enlightening discussions and a detailed look at the available funding resources, decided to put a subgroup to work to distill all of those ideas into position descriptions. We went in knowing these are the most important needs we have. This is the most important parts of the mission that we have. This is kind of what we think we might need. Come up with a plan. And that team came up with a couple of position descriptions. The whole staff discernment team edited and approved those and sent them on to the Parish Planning Council for their approval last week. And they are, if you got the messenger, those job descriptions are in there this week. Take some time with those. This is important business. Jesus is in our boat. All right? Some of the details await input from the Council Advisory Team and the Northeastern Minnesota Synod, and those pieces will be shared with you as soon as they fall into place. The outline of the shape of our future staff looks like this. I'm still here. Those of you who are hoping for new senior leadership, well, that's going to have to wait at least a couple years. Anyway, some of what I do is going to change. Some of the tasks that the church that you asked me to do is going to shift a little bit. I'm going to intentionally spend more time in a variety of different places. That'll get clearer as we go through here. There's going to be the additions of a part-time associate pastor. Now, the details of that are still are awaiting that synod and CAT input, so that's coming. But the third piece, and this is the reason I'm preaching about it, is that this is big, and it's important, and it's now. The third position that we have to move forward on almost at once, in fact, at once, is searching for and hiring a director of children, youth, and family. A director of children, youth, and family. So now, what is a director of children, youth, and family, you may ask? Well, I just happen to know. There's a statement from the general purpose in the job description. It's too small for you to read, but it's up there. The Director of Children, Youth, and Family has the central role of recruiting, equipping, and mobilizing families, youth, congregation members, and others to pass on the faith to the next generation. This ministry is holistic. It is intergenerational in approach. It's not simply about Sunday school or youth ministry. It is about those things. It is about Sunday school's coming back. All right, traditional Sunday school, not traditional worship service. Traditional is coming back, but you got to help. Yeah, I hear the clapping coming from that one. Yeah. Christian Ed team, is committed to having traditional Sunday school. That's with classes and the whole thing. Well, we're not going to be able to do it with 3 people or 4 people that are on the Chris Ed team. Families with kids are going to have to be able to commit to being here, not just in September, but also in January. Oh. It's an extra donation right there. So. Thank you, Linda. So it's going to take commitment of the families that are going to be involved. It's going to take the commitment of the whole congregation and this director of children, youth, and family ministry. So it's done by the entire congregation. It's involving our Savior's full community of Christ in faith formation. Children, youth, and family ministry is done by the entire congregation in team with the entire staff. Now, as you may note, this is an evolution from our prior staffing experience here at Our Savior's. For decades, there have been youth directors here focused on youth ministry, and that's typically middle school through high school. Most recently, we had the Youth and Small Groups Director, which was a hybrid position that combined leadership from a couple of diverse ministries there. The people who served our Saviors in these positions did so with skill and energy, assuring growth and vitality for those ministries. But this reorganized director of children, youth, and family envisions a full-time, not a pastor, a full-time staff person dedicated to enhancing ministry with people in the first third of life and their families. This is about reaching out to the people who come to us. We're up to 17 this year who have come to us already for baptism. That's almost bigger than the first church I served out in western North Dakota. Reality check here. We have people coming with their children to be baptized here, and we have a responsibility to stand up with them. We say we will when they make their promises about baptism. We have a responsibility to be there for them. And that's one of the places that's been missed. It's one of the places where my ministry is going to change, and that's one of the places where this Director for Children, Youth, and Family Ministry is going to have a direct impact. And then once they get a little bit older and Sunday school starts happening, this Director of Youth and Family, for Children, Youth, and Family is going to work hard with the preschool and work hard with Chris Ed and work hard with confirmation so that faith formation happens for the kids and for the families involved and for the congregation as a whole. This reorganized director position envisions a full-time, not a pastor, staff person dedicated to enhancing ministry with people in the first third of life and their families. It is intentional about forming a team with all the pastoral staff, with the Christian education team, with the preschool leadership, youth, parents, families, and the congregation as a whole. Today, right now, we need to form a search and support team for this new staff position. We need to do that as soon as we can. It'd be awesome if we could have this person in place before school starts. It's a challenge. Youth and family people are out there, but their ministry professionals are rare. If you're thinking about a change in your life, a change in your occupation, think about it. The church needs ministry professionals, not least of which is our own Director for Children, Youth, and Family. Parish Planning Council is urging that we assemble a team made up of representatives from Christian Education, the Youth Ministry Team, New Horizons Preschool, the pastoral staff, and the congregation as a whole to advertise, interview, recommend, and then provide a support team for this director. That's an important key. It's long since overdue time where we have a sense of ownership, a part of the congregation for the people we pay to do ministry here. Whoever we hire here has to know that not just me and not just Connie, but that you people will have his back or have her back, that you will be there. And not just a few folks, but the whole congregation has to be cheerleaders and supporters and encouragers of all of our staff, not the least of which this new director for children, youth, and family. This is an exciting time for our Saviors. Jesus is in the boat. Jesus is in the boat saying, why are you afraid? Do you still have no faith? Jesus is in the boat saying, we're going to get this done because I'm here. Jesus is saying to you and to me, Jesus is saying, I am here. This is an exciting time for our Savior. Searching for and supporting this new leader will be an important strategy for enhancing our mission. If you would like to be a part of this Children, Youth, and Family Director search and support team, talk to me. Call the church office before July 8th. Okay, this is urgent. Before July 8th, and join in. Now, it might seem like we're intentionally entering a stormy sea with these transition plans. It's like Jesus getting in the boat with his disciples at night. Who does that? Well, you do that when Jesus is in your boat. Who casts out from the shore, headed across the sea in the middle of the night? What person in their right mind? Somebody with Jesus in the boat. Somebody who listens when Jesus says, let's go. Let's go. Let's go to the other side. It's he who has called us. It's he who has invited us into this boat. And it's he who says, let's go. Let's go to the other side.